Hello, welcome back. This is part 3 of our lecture on brain-based learning. So I'm going to talk about the implications to learning, based on what we understand now of how our brain works, how the human brain actually works, And one of the things that we can do in class is to have this orchestrated immersion where we ensure that the stimulus that we provide in the class, in the learning environment, actually helps students to be immersed in the experience. This is useful if we utilize our empathy in the way that we address students, in the way that we want them to feel that they can experience their learning in a safe way, and that they can try new ideas, or they can ask ideas when they are in the environment. Relaxed alertness, which means getting the students to a state where they feel that they are not anxious, they're not stressed, but at the same time they are focused. So we try to eliminate or reduce the fear as much as possible, while at the same time maintaining a highly challenging environment. So this is quite tricky to do. We don't want them to be completely relaxed, but but not focus on the content. We want them to focus on the content, but at the same time we want to reduce as much as possible the anxiety that they might have, the fear that they might have. Perhaps, like for instance, in my faculty, students have problems in learning programming. They don't like, or they don't know what programming is. They don't like it, and if we create an environment where they feel that they cannot they cannot decrease their level of anxiety to learn programming, this will obviously will affect the way that they will focus on the subject. Active processing. This is where we would like to get students to be able to consolidate what they understand, and to use what they summarize, to use what they synthesize, by talking about it, by writing about it, by mind mapping it. Mind map is actually the fastest way to get students to remember things and to connect the dots, while you are teaching, while they are learning. I always ask my students in my own classes, when they attend classes, they must have at least a piece of paper and a pen at hand. It is not good that students, if they're coming to learn and they're just watching the whole class, meaning that they are just there as spectators. This is very dangerous, that I feel, because when there is no physical movement of the students transferring what they understand, what they're listening to, onto a piece of paper, it doesn't help them to remember it. It is very hard for them to connect the dots, because they're not writing. When you are writing, you are focusing to what you're listening, and also you're trying to make sense of that in the way that you are writing your notes, in the way that you mind map your notes. So writing actually is a very powerful skill to have, and a lot of students do not know how to do this properly. So probably this is also the reason why they don't do very well, or they don't remember what they're learning. So what are the design principles that we could use based on brain-based research? So these are some of the ideas that you might want to try out. I have 12 design principles here that I wish to share with you. The first one is stimulating learning environment, meaning that providing a rich environment that students feel it is safe for them to co-create activities and materials. Even in my research, I've seen that students actually benefit, yeah, from working together in coming up with their own activities and even their own learning products. Yeah, as long as we encourage this to happen, they feel that they're part of a huge the part of this huge teamwork, where they are responsible for the things that they can create together with their friends, with their peers. And I think there's more excitement as well, yeah, that happens when they're able to do this. Group learning is very, very powerful. It helps students to use their social skills, yeah, and that ability to negotiate meaning among the group members. So encourage as much as possible group learning. Sometimes there are issues in which when you have a super smart student in the class, and when you put the student in, with people who are with other students who may not be as good as that student, they feel demotivated, they feel angry, they feel anxious, because they do not feel that they are progressing as quickly as they want to. So this would require a bit of negotiation and a bit of communication, yeah, between you and the student, and to help them understand why is it that there is a need for them to develop this social skills, yeah, with by cooperating with other people. So these are some of the things that can be done. Moving while you're learning. Students, when we get them to do things physically while they're learning, they actually do better, yeah. Oftentimes, even in my lectures where I have 150, 160 students sitting, I don't go and talk for hours and hours on end. Normally I would take 15-minute breaks, 15-minute chunks. Yeah, I live by the 15-minute rule. And I get them to stand up, I get them to switch places, I get them to talk with the person next to them. So all these things actually make them move, yeah, in the lecture hall. And if you're familiar with the lecture theatre, there's not much room for students to move. But I do get them to in groups, they would come up with their own mind mapping, yeah, while the lecture goes on. So they would share all the bits that they understand, and then they would together put in the mind mapping. So those are the things that we see would happen when we get students to physically move about, yeah. And the fourth one is about having this safe space to learn, meaning that in the class, whatever, if it's online or if it's physical, it's the same thing. We need to create that space where students know that they are not going to be bullied. They know that the threat is very low for them to develop anxiety and fear, because all these things actually would discourage them from participating in the class itself. So if they don't feel safe, they would not do anything, yeah. Design principle number 5 is using different spaces to encourage interaction. So be creative about the setup of your lessons. You don't have to use the same patterns all the time. You can change your locations. You can have, like for instance, now we're moving towards hybrid learning. Perhaps there is a way to get students to be immersed in different locations online and on site, and then get different groups to experience it, and then get them to reflect on what they feel and how they think, and how they sort of look at their whole learning journey, yeah, while you are giving that variety of spaces. Spaces are very important because it helps someone or any learner, yeah, to place their position as a person, yeah, within the learning environment. So that's the reason why it is interesting. And principle number 6 is about changing the way learning content is presented. So we can use different strategies as to how we want to present, yeah, what we teach, as long as it is in line with the nature of the content. Be careful that when we do learning activities, when you are asking students to do learning activities, it does not mean that they will actually learn the content that they are intended to learn. So be sure that the learning activities is congruent with the nature of your learning content, yeah, the teaching content that you have for the students. Being busy in an activity does not mean that the students fully optimize, yeah, the learning experience. So everyone who teaches must be observant, yeah, must be adaptive to the different challenges that they might have. So I'm going to stop here now. I'm going to continue in the next video to talk about the rest of the design principles. Come back soon, yeah? See you.